So I thought I'd just kind of respond to Gary on his Fair Economics channel. He basically made a video responding to Nick, the modern mystic, um, about economic solutions. And Gary basically kind of laid out what he sees as the problem. Which basically, the main two things together are concentration of ownership and people living off of unproductive income, like say interest, um, and charging people for what they own, and and these are concerns that I share. So I thought I'd um, talk a little bit about some of the solutions that I've been studying. Um, First of all, when the primary causes of concentration of ownership is land value. Um, in a sense, I would say kind of the original sin of our economic system was the idea that the earth was something that could be owned. Yeah, that private individuals could actually own a piece of the earth and charge people for its use. So, um, in a sense, I actually kind of disagree with what Gary said about not wanting to make everyone renters. I think when it comes to land, we do want to make everyone renters, so that no one actually can you can actually claim a piece of the earth as their own. Um, this may have not been what he was referring to by talking about everyone as renters, but I just want to say that with land, I think it's actually a good idea. So I mean, what I would advocate is that the full value of land, the full unimproved value of land, is the value of the actual space itself, be taxed fully by the government. So in a sense, we do in a sense become renters, but because it's going to the government, they're also all owners because the government is, at least ideally, we the people. And so the land is just being rendered to the commons. And there's all kinds of ways that the land concentrates wealth. Whenever population increases, whenever there's creation of wealth, whenever there's infrastructure the government invests in, that all increases the value of land, and that land value tends to get concentrated. The most valuable land in commercial property, particularly in big port cities like New York. Um, and then, of course, since that tends to be commercial property, then a lot of that gets distributed in the stock market, so that stock traders end up owning a piece of that commercial property through their ownership of stock in a company that owns the land. Um, so yeah, that's the one thing. I mean, and I guess not just land, but natural resources. Oil, and kind of minerals, for example. Yeah, we got to be able to tax people for what they take from nature or take from the commons. Um, so that and then in turn untax the addition of value to to nature by human effort. So that basically we have private property in the things that people produce, in wealth that's created, while rendering the things um, that nature gives us as common property. So that's one is land reform. Um, the next thing is Gary mentions interest. So I'm talking about monetary reform, and I used to think that just as long as we got rid of sort of the debt money system and had government issue money debt free, that would be enough, and that interest was just sort of a necessary evil in terms of that, but it wouldn't be a big deal as long as government issued the money debt free. And I do think that is part of it, is having the government be the issuer of money, so that instead of having to borrow money from China, the government can actually just create its own money for public expenditures. But as far as the interest thing go, I have been kind of getting interested in the ideas of Silvio Gesell, who talked about basically putting a timestamp on money so that basically in order to maintain its value, it has to keep circulating. That makes money behave a little bit more like wealth, because physical wealth is actually subject to laws of entropy. You know, it rots over time, so to speak. And so this would actually do the same thing to money, so that rather than money and debt building up over time, outpacing the rate at which wealth can grow, instead it will actually kind of keep pace with wealth, so that the amount of money will continue to equal the amount of wealth approximately. And then and one thing that does is actually it gives bankers incentive to lend out the money even at 0% interest. So there's your interest problem right there. And there's a third thing that I haven't quite worked out as well, but I think is important, which is intellectual property reform. I'm just, aside from the owning of nature, the owning of ideas is also a big source of exploitation. We see that with agricultural patents, being applied in the third world and depriving third world farmers of their livelihood. And we see that part of the idea of intellectual property was that it was supposed to encourage innovation, but frequently has the opposite effect. I've been kind of following this patent war between Apple for their iPhone and HTC, which is one of their main competitors in the smartphone market. And Apple apparently is suing HTC over its patent on multitasking, which the iPhone currently doesn't do. So I guess the ownership of it was basically to prevent others from doing it. So I think with intellectual property, we should, to the greatest extent possible, kind of replace the sort of ownership system with kind of a prize system. Or basic my idea is that if we had these government agencies who had a certain budget to basically buy certain ideas and render them public, so that people can basically sell their idea instead of buying a patent so that they can extort money from others. They basically sell their idea to this government agency and receive some sort of compensation for it, and then that idea it goes into this sort of public archive where anyone can use it, and then furthermore have prizes for the first person to come up with a cancer treatment that works this effectively or whatever. So that basically you set goalposts for innovation and that helps encourage further innovation. So and that kind of avoids a lot of the exploitation that goes on in intellectual property. So I guess I hope that I was clear enough in this video. I guess that's my thoughts for now.